Shalom, y'all. Give me 1 second.
Right, shalom, shalom. Yeah, this your brother Josephus, Caleb Israel, brother Boston. And we definitely had to do this today, this video today, just in response to a video Sicarii made technically about us, with his misunderstandings and misinterpretations and misquotes of the fuller preterist view and transfiguration and a couple other things that he was definitely off on. So just want to make this claim, not trying to be disrespectful, and when we read, listen and follow along first, and try to take your emotions out of it. I think that's the best thing for you all to do, so take your emotions out of it, for sure.
Alright, and this is Elvin Israel from RPK, one of the instructors, where we concentrate on those three tenets: resurrection, prophecy, and kingdom. Also, the instructor of AOSD, CHANDLER, stands for Assembly of Sound Doctrine, Chandler. And what we're going to do right now, we're just going to go through. We're going to go through and try to. Hold on. We're going to go through and just expound on the things that were said about these particular scriptures that we have already brought out. And it was said as we misrepresented the scriptures. So now we're going to state it again, and we're going to say it hopefully with clarity at the moment. You want to say anything, Brother Tony, before I start?
Not at all. Y'all just go ahead and teach.
Okay. All right, so we're going to start at Matthew 16, 27 and 28, because that's exactly where they started the video at, trying to debunk what we're saying. They said that this is where us, the preterist dudes, go to say that Christ has came back, and this is absolutely incorrect, and we're misrepresenting the scriptures. So first thing first, I'm going to go through what Sicarii read. He read verse 16, 27 through 28, which we read also. So I'm just going to read it. I got the New King James Version, just in case anybody cares. But just to make it clear, brother, can we change Bibles, if you don't mind? Can we change Bibles? I'm going to use the KJV just in case they say that I'm off. So let me go to the KJV now. Okay. Matthew 16, 27 and 28, and appreciate you for letting me see your Bible. It says, "For the Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Father with his angels. Then he shall reward every man according to his works. Verily I say unto you, there be some standing here which shall not taste of death till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom." So clearly Christ said that some of the disciples were still going to be alive when he came with his angels, with rewards, and etc. in his kingdom. So clearly Christ said that. So what the brother did, he said, okay. He read it and said, now, let's go to 2 Peter, and this is going to explain what Matthew 16 says, right? So he goes from Christ's word, and he said 2 Peter is going to actually explain it. So let's see if 2 Peter explains it as the brother said. 2 Peter 1, I'm going to start at verse number, well, where he started at, I can't remember. I'm going to start at verse 16, though. 2 Peter 1, I'm going to start at 16. It says, "For we have not been followed cunningly, devised fables, when we made known unto you the power and coming of our Lord Jesus Christ, but were eyewitnesses of his majesty." And then he was like, see right there, they saw the coming of the Lord, and this is the coming that Christ was speaking of in Matthew 16, 27 and 28. And then he was like, he debunked us. But, first of all, I don't see how. But let's just continue reading. Let's just continue reading. So first of all, it says, verse 16, I'm going to read it again. Now let's read it the correct way. Actually what it says. For we have not followed cunningly devised fables, when we made known unto you the power and coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. So Peter had already made known to a group, Peter and the disciples made known to the group about the power and coming, of the Lord Jesus Christ. Then he has a specific word in there that says, but. Right?
100%. If you keep
the
reading.
word but means something. Okay? It's not a continuation, because that would be and. Right?
Yeah.
So now but is finna contrast. Right? Now he's finna contrast a point. But were eyewitnesses of his majesty. Now, we made known unto you the power and coming. But were eyewitnesses of his majesty. So now, is his majesty the coming? That's what we got to ask ourselves now. Is his majesty the power in the coming, or was his majesty something else? Well, let's continue reading. Let's continue reading. Verse 17. For he received from God the Father honor and glory, when there came such a voice to him from the excellent glory, this is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Peter went to the voice of the Father. Not the coming of Christ, not the power of Christ, but the excellence of the Father saying, this is my Son, whom I am well pleased. That was the excellence. He pleased the Father, and they heard it. But you might say, no, that can't be it. Let's continue reading. This is verse 18. And this voice, which came from heaven, we heard when we were with him in the holy mount. That's the transfiguration. So the majesty, the excellent that he got, was when the Father said, this is my Son who I am well pleased. He didn't say that this was his coming at all.
Right.
At all. He was talking about words that they heard the Father say. But
let's keep reading.
should we keep reading?
I think we should always keep reading.
Well, let's read some more then. It says, 19. We have also a more sure word of prophecy, whereunto ye do well that ye take heed as unto a light that shineth in the dark place, until the day dawn and the day star arise in your hearts. It's in your mind. And then he says, knowing this first, that no prophecy of the scripture is of any private interpretation. For the prophecy came not in old time by the will of man, but by holy men of God, spake as they were moved by the Holy Spirit. But notice, you keep seeing the words, spake, speak, not coming, destruction, power, none of that stuff that Christ said he was going to come do.
Right.
None of that stuff. Only speech. The Father said this, the prophet spoke that, speech. See? So now, let's go back to Matthew 16 now, because this is what they said. Because they said the coming that was the transfiguration.
Oh.
No, the transfiguration was the coming. So, yeah, Matthew 16, 27 through 28, Peter, they said, Peter is explaining that this coming that Christ is talking about was the transfiguration. So we're going to go right back to Matthew 16, 27 and 28, and then we're going to do that word that starts with an R. Read. Right?
100%.
Can I put a K with it and say keep reading? That's what we're going to do. Okay? We're going to try that. We're going to keep reading. Okay, so now I'm going to start Matthew 16, 27 and 28. For the Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Father with his angels. So first of all, the Son of Man has to come with angels. Right? Ain't that what it says?
Yep.
And then, continuation. Not a contrast.
Right, not a
continuation.
but.
Right.
buts.
No buts, but a continuation.
Mm-hmm.
And then he shall reward every man according to his works. Don't that got to happen too?
100%.
So in the transfiguration, where's the angels? Where's the rewards?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I
It's
don't
not
know.
there.
No.
But they said this is what Christ was talking about, the transfiguration. But he didn't. So Christ transfigured and didn't do nothing else he said.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
He forgot. He forgot.
I
He
guess.
just forgot. Okay, well let's go. Let's go. Verse 28 then. Verily I say unto you, huh?
I was going to say that's what they leave out. The angels coming with Christ. And they try to say, that's where they go with Matthew 17. They leave out, he's coming with his angels. Well, go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
No, you good. And brother, just because y'all didn't hear Brother Demetrius, he said that they love to leave out the part, him coming with his angels. And the rewards.
Mm-hmm.
Because the transfiguration is what's going on, is the coming that Peter was talking about. And, what Peter was saying, if that's what Christ did in front of them, he was supposed to come with angels and give up some rewards.
That wasn't in that read.
I didn't read it at all. I didn't.
Not me neither.
Maybe Peter left that out.
But then how did he read it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Let's
All right,
go to
keep
verse
going.
28. Verily I say unto you,
Mm-hmm.
we know he's talking to the disciples, there be some standing here, not in America or 2,000 years in the future, but right there in front of him, which shall not taste of death. Now, they want to run and say, that's the second death. Now, the second death were for the wicked people. Right?
Right, 100%.
So, which one of the disciples was supposed to go through the second death outside of Thomas? Well, no, not Thomas. My bad. Judas. My bad. I said Thomas. Thomas was a doubter. Judas. Nobody. So, once again, why would they be talking about the second death
They
right
wouldn't
there?
be.
At all.
At all.
Why would Christ bring up the second death?
I mean, the only way you can think that if you are making it up.
Right.
I think that.
Right, I got you. Till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. Did Christ come in the kingdom on the transfiguration? Let's find out. We're going to read it.
Okay.
Because we're going to continue reading.
Right.
Chapter 17. And after 6 days. This is very important. Not even a week passed.
Mm-hmm.
6 days.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus taketh Peter, James, and John, his brother, and bringeth them up into a high mountain apart, and was transfigured before them. And his face did shine as the sun, and his raiment was white as the light. I don't hear nothing about no angels. I don't hear nothing about no rewards. I don't hear nothing about nothing except and was transfigured before them. Now, that's what I read. Anybody see anything different?
No.
All right, well, let's keep reading. Yeah, we're going to keep reading. Right.
KR.
So let's keep going. And behold, there appeared unto him, them Moses and Elias talking with him. I guess them are the angels. Gotta be the angels.
You can't convince me.
Gotta
You see, I'm
be.
looking at it like confused, right?
I guess he's giving them some rewards to mankind.
Well, let's keep reading.
Let's keep reading. Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
Then answered Peter and said unto Jesus, Lord, it is good for us to be here, because this is your coming, and the angels is with you, giving your rewards.
Yo, it does not say
It
that.
doesn't say that, does it?
At
It
all.
doesn't say that at all. Okay.
Yes, we're joking. I hope you got your Bible to read it correctly, okay?
Right. It doesn't say that at all. It says.
Look, I hope you're doing it correctly, okay?
That's the
point.
finger.
That's the finger. You gotta understand. This is
Yeah.
the point of the Bible. This is the point of the Bible, man. We got that from Brother
Right.
Tony. You heard?
So he said, Lord, it is good for us to be here. If thou wilt, let us make here 3 tabernacles, one for thee, one for Moses, and one for Elias, one for the lawgiver, and one for the prophet.
Word.
While he yet spake, so while he was speaking,
Mm-hmm.
behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and behold, a voice came out of the cloud which said, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear ye him. Let's go back to 2 Peter now. 2 Peter 1 and starting at verse number 16. For we have not followed cunningly devised fables when we made known unto you the power and coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. So can we agree that the coming has to be with angels to give rewards?
Right.
Okay. But were eyewitnesses of his majesty. Now I would say majesty, it said that he was transfigured before them. His face did shine as the sun. His raiment was white as the light. Seemed kind of majestic to me. But for he received from God the Father honor and glory when there came such a voice to him from the excellent glory. This is my beloved Son in whom I am well pleased. So Peter is talking about what he experienced with Christ.
Right.
He heard the voice of the Father, and that was excellent to him. That was the excellency that they was want to talk about. We heard the Father's voice. So we definitely got to believe on Christ.
Facts.
He didn't say, hey, you know what? We was in the mountain. All them angels came. It was so much chaos and this and this and that. Let's keep reading. Let's keep reading, though. First of all, this is 6 days after Christ gave the prophecy.
Right.
So I don't know who in the Bible gave 6-day prophecies, first of all. Like, who did that? Like, there'll be some standing here which not taste death in 6 days. right? So,
there's really no reason for him later on to say in this generation. He could have said in this week.
Right.
Basically, but whatever. Okay.
So, but let's keep reading now. It says, this is Matthew 17. It says, Lord, if it be good for us, I said, verse 5, while he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and behold, a voice out of the cloud which said, this is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear ye him. And when the disciples heard it, they fell on their face and were sore afraid. Now remember, Sicarii said this right here is the coming in Matthew 16, 27 through 28. So I want to keep reading. And when the disciples heard it, they were sore afraid and fell on their face. Verse 7, and Jesus came and touched them and said, arise and be not afraid. And when they had lifted up their eyes, they saw no man save Jesus only. Here is verse 9, the most important thing that they leave out. And as they came down from the mountain, Jesus charged them, saying, tell the vision to no man until the Son of Man be risen again from the dead. What kind of prophecy fulfillment is a vision? The fulfillment of the prophecy is a vision.
Itself.
Is a vision itself.
I know. The kind that they make up.
Right.
100%. The one that come from not reading. Yeah, that's...
Bingo. And we're not sorry, y'all, about the jokes and stuff, but the brothers came at us, and it's kind of funny because we didn't already explain this several times, but we got to explain it again.
Multiple times.
Yes. So, there's nowhere in Scripture where a prophecy is fulfilled through a vision.
Right.
The vision explains something.
Yeah, it explains what's being prophesied.
Right.
Yeah. That's all. That's
Right.
all it is.
So there's no way the transfiguration can be the fulfillment of the prophecy of Christ coming with his angels and with his rewards. No way. And if you didn't know what the vision was about, Peter told you in the verses that Sicarii went to. This is what the vision was about. This is what the vision proved. His majesty, his glory from the Father, and etc. That's what the point of the vision was. Not to him coming in angels and stuff that. So I think we didn't say what we got to say. That was just it. I don't know how more to show that he just did a whole bunch of rambling. That's all it was. It say, preterist believes this. This right here, I'm going to read one verse, no more context, and I'm just going to tell you what it is, close my Bible, and that's it. And then we got all our other brothers. Guns. You're right.
No.
You're right. Them brothers off.
So what we're just saying is, obviously y'all not. No, I don't want to, and I hope it's not disrespectful though. But you know, it is what it is though. You're not reading, like not straight through in context, right? Stop believing other than what the Bible says, right? Let's not make it up, right? Let's read it and understand it. And I know some of you are gonna say, "Oh, you do understand it, and that's why you're saying what you're saying." And I say that you don't understand it. That's why you're saying what you're saying. We clearly just showed the transfiguration, what was expected, what was understood from it, and what it really and truly was. It was not a fulfillment at all of the prophecy, at all. You want to touch on the just the basics of the fulfillment of the prophecy he's talking about?
Well, I think Demetrius was trying to say something.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Demetrius.
No, I was trying to. You kind of cut out. I didn't catch the whole thing that what Marcel was saying. But I mean, you just hit the down the I and cross the T, and I mean, there's nothing more you can say. But a lot of people try to discredit Matthew 16:27-28 as well, saying that. Well, I know Muslims do. They say that Christ lied about coming in the generation of the people that he was talking to. And
They tripped.
William, he shook up a room. What was that? It was either Wednesday or Thursday. He shook up a room as well on that same verse. And man, it was crazy. You should have heard it. But you dotted the I and crossed the T on everything that he was trying to put in 2 minutes, and he really killed himself on it.
Right.
100%. So, 100. Oh, but he can't hear me. 100%, Demetrius. And I would like to ask Elvin if he could. Just go through lightly. No, we're not gonna get into deep to it because we can be here all day. Just touch on what fulfilling the prophecy would look like.
All right. First, do you want to say anything, Brother Tony?
No, I'm just listening.
Okay. Brother Mike, you want to say anything before I go? All right, then. Well, let's go. Oh, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, sorry, my phone dropped out of my hand. I mean, I think you covered all the points right there. The only thing I would ask is maybe could you cover another detail? Because some other people are saying that he's speaking of second death and that verse there.
Right.
So could you explain to the people how that is a very bad assumption, if you can?
All right, yes, sir. I'm gonna hit it again because I just hit it. I'm gonna hit it one more time, Brother Mike. Once you go to Revelation chapter 20, I believe. Revelation 20 and verse number 13 through 15. It says, "And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were within them, and they were judged, every man according to their works." That's the rewards.
Mm-hmm.
So, first of all, if that's the reward, right? Hold on, let me keep going. I'm glad Brother Mike watch me formulate this. I'm gonna formulate this one. Verse 14. "And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire." So we agree that the judgment of the rewards, it happens the same time that the second death is taken away. Second death is thrown into the lake of fire.
Mm-hmm.
So second death is taken away the same time that the judgment is occurring, right?
100%.
So by default, in verse 28, Matthew 16, "Verily I say unto you, there be some standing here, even if that was the second death.
Mm-hmm.
That would have to occur during the time period that they were alive. Even if it's the second death, which is not.
Right.
But even if it is the second death, it has to occur when they were alive.
Exactly.
But it's not.
But it's not. Now let's show why. Let me show why it's not the second death. Because verse 15, whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. So why would the disciples, because when you go to Matthew 16, verse 24, then said Jesus unto his disciples.
His disciples.
Why would the disciples go through the second death? Why would they not be found written in the book of life?
I have no idea, bro. I have no idea.
He would
I
tell
had
them to
trouble.
go preach.
That's what I'm saying. I had trouble like understanding the logic, and no disrespect, but I had no. I couldn't understand the logic at all, because that one fact that you're saying that the disciples deserve the second death,
Yeah.
the ones that he handpicked
Right.
to spread the word even after he go,
Yeah.
would deserve the second death. That just didn't make sense. And then when we read, we never see a reason for them to do it neither.
Right.
So like they did something later on that, you know what I mean? So that just didn't make sense to me. So that's why I said we gotta really read and understand in context. Like,
Right.
you know, I don't know, man. We gotta stop like making stuff up.
One thing. And this, once again, all this had to happen within 6 days, right? Because if this is the
100%.
transfiguration,
Yeah.
this is the 6-day prophecy that ended in a vision
100%.
that nothing ever.
So, and how? What's the possible timestamps on Revelation getting written again?
Well, it's got to be before the temple fell. That's what you're talking about.
Right.
It came out before the temple fell. What?
My reason for asking was it within those 6
That's
days?
what I was finna hit that. I was finna hit that. So that meant that Revelation chapter 20, and he made a great point. Revelation chapter 20 had to occur within those 6 days. In fact, it had to occur at the transfiguration.
Right, that day. It's like, yo,
Yeah.
and then that's it, just like that.
Right.
I don't know, like I don't think they're thinking it through.
So in fact, the second death would have been destroyed at the transfiguration.
Right.
That's before he even died.
Right. He didn't even get a chance to do that yet.
So why would Jerusalem be punished when death is already defeated?
They're not. I'm confused. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just really trying to get everyone that chooses to listen to this to really think. Like, you understand what I'm saying? That's all. Just really think about what's being said. But yeah.
So,
Right,
and then I'm just going to go through the time basis real fast. I'm just show you a time basis real fast. Once you go to Matthew 10, I'm just going to hit on like 2 of them. Matthew 10:23, right? This is what it says. I'm going to start at 22. And you shall be hated of all men for my name's sake. If you don't know who he's talking about, you go to Matthew 10:5. These 12 Jesus sent forth and commanded them, saying. So he's talking to the 12 disciples here.
Mm-hmm.
So Matthew 10:22. And ye should be hated of all men for my name's sake. But he that endureth to the end shall be saved. Verse 23. But when they persecute you in this city, flee ye into another. For verily I say unto you, ye shall not have gone over the cities of Israel till the Son of Man be come. So he told the disciples they would not have been going over from fleeing from the persecution before, they would not have completed it before his arrival came.
Right.
So, where was they fleeing at in Matthew 16?
There was no such.
Because that was supposed to be the fulfillment, right? Him coming? Ain't that him coming?
Right.
So,
That's part of the second coming.
right, who fled in Matthew in those 6 days?
Nobody.
So let me guess, they ran in the middle of running, they ran up the mountain. In the middle of persecution, they ran up the mountain, had a vision, came back down, and the people were like, oh, y'all straight down, y'all back. So then they started persecuting them again.
And I hate to make the jokes, but that's what your logic must be, though. Like, that's really what your logic has to be.
Right.
Right? They're not thinking it clearly. They're not thinking it through. You know what I mean? They don't. The problem is, see how you brought out the timestamp?
Mhm.
They don't understand timestamp.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They
So
ignore them.
yeah, the things that has to happen within these timestamps it's just I think too much for them maybe. You know what I mean, or it's scary to them to accept it. And actually, I'm happy for it, but you know, it's another story. But go ahead, bro.
Oh man, it's so many. Let's take them to John the Baptist. Let's go take them to John the Baptist. Matthew 3, I believe it's 3. And we're going to go with John the Baptist. Matthew 3 and 1. In those days came John the Baptist preaching in the wilderness of Judea and saying, Repent ye, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. That's the same kingdom that he said he was going to come with in Matthew 16. For this is he that was spoken of by the prophet Isaiah, saying, The voice of the one crying in the wilderness, Prepare ye the way of the Lord, make his path straight. So now, I'm going to skip down to verse number 6. And were baptized of him in Jordan, confessing their sins. Verse 7. But when he saw many of the Pharisees and Sadducees come to his baptism, he said unto them, O generation of vipers, who had warned you to flee from the wrath to come? Christ said, let's go back to Matthew 16, 27 and 28. This is what Christ said. For the Son of Man should come in the glory of his Father with his angels. And then he shall reward every man according to his works. John the Baptist said, O generation of vipers, who hath warned you to flee from the wrath to come? That sounds like a judgment to me. That sounds like a reward to me. Reward of every man. No matter if it's good or bad, you're getting rewarded. John the Baptist just had to say they were going to get the wrath. So, but he called them a generation of vipers. What does generation mean? Does it mean that they were 2 years in coming? Like 2 years in the future? You Pharisees and Sadducees, 2,000 years from now, people who ain't got nothing to do with what we're talking about is going to get destroyed.
Well, listen, you can't say that because you know the common response to that.
Reincarnation.
Right.
Reincarnation. That's it.
That's
So he's going to, the just God, all loving God, the one who gives you time and time again, long suffering, right? Caring, right? He's going to destroy you for something you can't remember you did. Right? I mean, right?
Yeah.
He said, you was cool now. You did everything you needed to do
Well,
now.
you just
But 2,000
destroy
years ago,
you.
you were wilding out.
Well, would you just destroy them while he was being that viper? To show him everybody else what he does to vipers, no matter how much he loves them.
Right.
I mean, like common sense, right? I don't know. Man, that's just a thought process. I don't know.
And how do we do away what actually happened to Jerusalem?
How do we? What do you mean?
Because for some reason they don't believe that it's wrath, biblical wrath. What happened to Jerusalem? See, they throw away history. They say, okay, it doesn't matter if over 1 million Jews was killed in 3 years. It doesn't matter that the bodies laid so far up that they couldn't even walk in the streets.
So daggone heavy that was putting fires out of the house.
Yes.
That the army had set.
Bingo.
100%.
The blood was putting the fire out.
Yep.
That's how it was running like a river.
Yeah, the river.
So
It's documented.
Right.
Too. Like this is documented.
forget all that.
Yeah.
That don't matter. He's going to destroy people in America for who knows what.
Right.
Because they quit going to church. Or they start eating pork. Or they stop wearing fringes. It's got to be a reason why he's saying, let me destroy America. 2,000 years ago, they did this to my son. And then they didn't get no better. So let me destroy them.
America, the only place in the world.
Right.
You arrogant Americans.
Brothers,
Anybody else want to weigh in?
join me.
No. I mean,
This is what happens.
yeah, 100% what happens, bro. All right, so we know they're gonna say regeneration / reincarnation, right? Because they don't understand what the resurrection was about. The original resurrection.
It makes absolutely no sense in the reincarnation.
Right. Yeah. Exactly, and the actual renewal of the spirit and the person at that time. Which that's what they need to be studying and understanding. That way they can be New Covenant citizens regardless. Right. Anyway, should we? No.
I'm going to read Matthew 24 for them. Because that's what they like. They love Matthew 24. Matthew 24, 1 through 3. And Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came unto him to show him the buildings of the temple. Now this man has said temple twice. Matthew has said temple twice already. And Jesus said unto them, see ye not all these things? So Matthew is alluding back to the temple again.
Right, 100%.
In 2 verses, he hit temple. Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another. Temple, again, there shall not be thrown down. So in 2 verses, he then went temple. Why do we not think that this is talking about the temple? But let's keep reading.
Yeah, keep reading. I love it.
Verse 3, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of America being destroyed by nuclear warfare?
Stop, yo.
Doesn't say that. And what shall be the sign of thy coming? That's the same coming in Matthew 16, right?
Yes.
And of the end of the world or age, right?
100%.
And Jesus answered and said unto them, you stupid idiots, what do you mean? I'm talking about the temple. So I'm going to answer questions about the temple and then eventually tell you about America.
Stop. It
never happened. What he said was, and Jesus answered and said, first of all, can we agree that Christ knows how to answer questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
100%.
So if they said the signs of thy coming, tell us when these things shall be, and of the end of the world, can we agree that Christ might have answered those questions? So let's see if he answered them. Let's just see if Christ answered those questions. And Jesus answered and said unto them, take heed that no man shall deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. First question I have. Do we think Christ is answering the question right here? Or do we think Christ is just saying random words?
He's always responding, bro.
So this has to be an answer to one of those questions. The questions was, when shall these things be? What should be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the age? He's got to be answering one of these things. He didn't say random words. Let me talk randomly because they think I talk parabolically. So I'm going to talk random, and eventually I'm going to come back, and then I'm going to go to random again. He said, no. Take heed that no man shall deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars, and rumor of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Now, why did he say that? Because even till in 21st century, when the first time we hear of war, we say it's the end of the world. Christ is getting ready to come back any moment now. COVID, Christ is coming back. When they were doing the microchips, Christ is coming back. Y2K, Christ is coming back.
Yeah, I know a lot of camps lost their followers back that time too.
Yes.
Because of Y2K.
The recent war that they had a few years ago, Christ is coming back. What's going on right now in Jerusalem and Syria, all that? Christ is coming back.
Guess what? For those of you who are ignorant, I'm a veteran. Guess what? We're still at war with North Korea now.
And Christ is coming back.
And Christ is coming back.
So we got that right there. So he had to tell them, but the end is not yet. Remember they asked him at the end of the age? So Christ said, he's answering something. All of this stuff is going to happen, but the end is not yet. Why, Christ? For nation shall rise against nations. Other stuff has to happen.
Right.
And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. See, they don't tell you this thing about Hebrew parallelism. When he first said, you should hear of wars and rumors of wars, now he's telling them nation is rising against nation. When nation rises against nation, you hear of wars and rumors of wars.
Right.
So that's what he's doing. He's going back and forth. Saying you're going to hear this because this is occurring.
Mm-hmm.
They separate it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't make it go together. They separate it.
Like you said, they don't understand the
We over in Afghanistan and we over here, man. Don't you see?
We doing too much overstanding. We need to come back to the understanding. We're doing too much. All right, so now, and there should be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. And all of these are the beginning of sorrows. Why? That baby got to be delivered first. She got to go through that child labor, that birth pain. She got to go through that first.
Any of you women really want to go through 2,000 years worth of pain giving birth to a baby? That's what I thought so.
And these are birth pains. It's getting ready to occur. It's just got to happen when it's supposed to happen. That's it. So now you're going through the birth pains. Verse 9. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake.
So who's the you?
That's it. Now, I was want to hit this.
Yeah, you gotta hit that.
Yeah.
One, yo.
I think the you is the disciples who he's talking to, and anybody who followed them in the first century.
I definitely know it's them.
It can't be people getting killed by police in the 21st century.
No.
Can't be.
No.
Because nobody is saying, for Christ!
Nope.
Not one person.
Not one person.
Nobody walking to you and say, hey,
They're not getting persecuted in Christ.
do you believe Christ? You believe on Christ? Let's beat and kill him for believing on Christ.
100%.
It's all because...
Actually, most of the ones that's out there saying, even though they might be a little off, they saying that they coming in Christ's name, they get a pass.
Mm-hmm.
No, they get a pass, right? But let them tell it. All the other innocent people that's getting killed they're getting killed in Christ's name, but they're not out there. They're out there gangbanging.
Right.
Sometimes just minding their own business.
Right.
Too. You know what I mean? But they're not out there doing it.
There's freak accidents and everything. This is the world we live in.
100%.
So what about the ones that's over in these places that we don't hear about that's actually being killed because they say Christ is
Right, that too.
That's going on. They'll report that, but you idiots don't know this. Well, okay.
And they shall, my brother, he own it. He own it, guys. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. What did he say in verse 5? For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. He's just going back and forth. He's giving the same explanation 2 times. I'm going to say it this way, and I'm going to say it that way. Same subject. Same talk. Just saying it different ways. What they call Hebrew parallelism. Because that's how the Hebrews wrote. That's how they spoke. So now, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. What did he say? Right here. Well, let me find it. They shall deliver you up to be afflicted. Now, the love of many shall wax cold. Doesn't that sound like love is waxing cold because they're delivering them up to be
What it
afflicted?
sound like, that's what it is.
100%.
Can't say it like that.
Right. Verse 13. But he that shall endure unto the end, did they not ask him, what is going to be the sign of thy coming in the end of the age? So now Christ is touching on the end again. First he said, the end is not yet. Now he's saying, he that endure into the end, the same shall be saved. The end of what? For nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There should be famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in diverse places. And they shall deliver you up to be afflicted and shall kill you. And you shall be hated of nation for my name's sake. The end of that. And many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many, and the love of many shall wax cold. The end of that. That's what they was looking for.
Right.
Right then, they wasn't going through that. The disciples wasn't being persecuted at that point in time when Christ was talking to them. They wasn't nobody being killed for Christ's name like that right there. So now he's telling them something that they got to see. Now, imagine doing the law of Moses for like 1,400 years.
Over 1,300.
Now you're talking about Christ, and they're killing you. They're literally the same ones that's calling you brothers. The same one that say, I follow Moses. And you're telling them, well, Moses spoke on Christ, and they saying, kill him. This will be something that they were going through. You got to imagine what they would go through this. Not people that's going in there pickpocketing people and getting killed by their brothers and sisters in the street. Not that. But what's going on? I mean, for real, seriously.
No,
It's not that.
I know. But sometimes you got to be simplistically thought, and it comes across sarcastic and humorous. But it's really the thought process you must be having.
How true it is.
Yeah, man.
Like,
Really?
because so the flip side of that is like you people out there who talk about this petty dumb stuff about dudes who don't do what they're supposed to do. They end up getting killed by their own kind because they didn't do what they're supposed to do. This is what he's talking about. This is not what that is.
It's not.
So stop it. This shows you we're in the last days. No, it don't.
Right. It definitely don't. It definitely don't. It shows they don't got Christ. That's what they show you. But now, verse number 14. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. Right. What he asked them? What's going to be the sign of thy coming and the end of the age? So now, can we agree that he said when the end of the age was going to come?
Yep, right there.
All right, so that's it. So then, say it again.
I said agree. Sorry about that.
Oh,
I know you good. You good.
Agreed.
So
sure.
now, verse 15. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet standing in the holy place, whosoever readeth, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains.
Cool. So let's stop right there. So, nation around about, nation against nation.
Kingdom against kingdom.
Kingdom against kingdom. Daniel prophesies what?
The same thing.
Right. This is what I'm trying to say. So he just said it again. Like, all right, I said it. Remember when Daniel said it? You know what I mean? Like, that's basically all he's doing. Like, you guys got to understand what they was always waiting for, right? What they always expected for the end to be. And when, them timestamps that we went through earlier. And this is the time. But go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
No, this is my question right here.
Right.
If Christ is telling them that they're going to get new Superman bodies,
Bro.
why are they worried about getting killed? If they're going to come back as Superman, this would be the perfect opportunity for Christ to say, and now, stay there and get killed. Because eventually,
I'm going to rise you up.
you're going to come back like Incredible Hulk. You don't know who that is right now. You don't know who that is.
Sorry.
No,
but we're just trying to, sis, we're just trying to like really bring clarity.
No, I'm legit laughing. Like, keep on. Go ahead. I love the satire. I love the commentary.
No, but we have to do that because we have to have them think about what they're really saying, right? And none of that stuff is scriptural. Like,
right.
The Fantastic Four did not exist back then at all. You feel
right.
me?
But he was trying to tell them that they coming.
Captain America, America wasn't even thought about.
Right.
Like, what do you mean? Like, so I don't know.
Well, he was like, why do you guys need to run anywhere? Because Paul is going to come. He's going to say a whole bunch of stuff y'all don't understand. But he's going to end it with, now, you don't understand nothing else he's saying, but you understand the part about floating in the air getting the body. You understand that 100%. You don't know nothing else he's talking about, but you know you're going to get a body, and this is your perfect time to get it. He told the disciples, flee into the mountains. Why would they need to flee?
That they're going to get a superpower body.
Bingo.
Like, why would they need to be scared? Why would they need
You feel me?
no reason?
If eternal life was the living with this flesh eternally, right? And he told them, whoever believeth on me shall not die. And he was talking about this flesh. This is the perfect time to demonstrate it.
I feel you.
I believe on Christ. I would, in fact, say it with your chest.
No doubt.
When the Roman army out there,
Shoot me.
you
Run
got
down
your chest
on them.
right.
Yeah, you run down on them like,
right.
I wouldn't run.
Man,
Give
this
me
is
Thanos.
right.
Give me Thanos.
This is literally the perfect opportunity. If we take it, if it's literal, it's the perfect opportunity to show it.
That's a fact.
I mean, I'm saying I'm like Peter. Hold on, what you mean, Christ? What you mean, run?
I know that's right.
You don't know what you told us behind the scenes.
Right.
You don't.
Yeah, we're gonna have superpowers.
Right,
Like,
what you
what am I
right,
looking for?
right.
You gotta explain that.
right.
Like, what's the logic in that?
And
Like,
yo-
is we supposed to go to the wilderness and that's when we supposed to rip off our
There you go.
soul and come back with the, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't get it.
And notice they didn't say what ships of Tarshish. How the ships of Tarshish gonna come get them in the wilderness? If it's literally talking about them coming to a coast somewhere,
I feel you.
how the ships of Tarshish gonna come pick them up? I let my brothers from GLCC explain that. So now it says, they said it. I'm gonna let them explain it. So now, let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house, neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. So in other words, if you can't go back and get your belongings, you got to get out of town.
Yeah, you gotta just go. Like,
They even do that today.
Right.
If you, excuse my language, if you piss off the wrong person, you got to leave town.
Now,
Now,
can't even go get your clothes.
right.
Pack a bag. Nah,
That's why y'all see in the movies and be like, baby, we gotta go. Stop asking me questions.
Right.
I ain't bring nothing. Come on, get in the car. Let's go
Right.
now.
Facts. Facts.
And this is what's going on here. He's telling them the same exact thing.
Yeah.
And woe unto them that are with child, and to them to give suck in those days.
Yep.
What days? The days that the abomination of desolation is saw,
Yep.
the days they're fleeing into the mountains, the days that they're hearing about nation rising against nation, kingdom against kingdom, the days that the false prophets are arising, the days that love is being waxed cold, those days.
Exactly.
Right? It's those days.
100%.
Okay, then,
those
okay.
days.
But now, verse 20. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. See right there. Got to do the law of Moses. They get it right there. It says Sabbath day. But it also says winter. So you just going to skip winter and go straight to Sabbath day? Why would he say winter? What happens in the winter? It's cold.
Facts. You don't want to be having to run through the
Right.
woods cold and left
You
your
don't-
coat at home.
Right. You can't, first of all, like you just said, you can't get your clothes. So now, if you can't get your clothes, what you going to do in the winter? Excellent point. Excellent point. And then, neither on the Sabbath day. Why?
Because the
Jerusalem-
city is closed up. That's why.
Bingo.
You ain't going no damn where. If you listen, if Hurricane Zeus is coming here and you ain't made it out by the time that they ain't told you made it out here, if you decide to run after they done said the fact, guess what? You stuck.
You stuck in.
And Zeus gonna hit your ass. Excuse my French, y'all.
Leave.
He meant donkey.
Yeah, yeah.
Your donkey. You're right.
You're gonna
dog.
get your donkey.
You're right.
You're gonna get your dog.
Right.
You know, your mini horse.
You're gonna be caught up, and that's the same thing he's saying. If your flight, if you decide to leave on a Shabbat, and I'm telling you now to leave when you see this going, when you see this happen, you better get going. If you don't by the time, and if it's on a Shabbat, you forget it because the gates be closed, you'll be stuck.
Mhm.
And
That's
whatever's
it.
coming, you're gonna get.
That's it.
Now,
100%.
How can it be in America when they're going to warn you on your cellular devices and your media things?
yeah, man, y'all gonna be
You
in
don't
Mount,
know.
y'all gonna be in the Appalachian Mountains and Rockies, whichever one you choose to run to when this come. I bet. Bet you up that brown property too now, right now, ain't you?
Right. You're making somebody else rich. And they just sitting there smiling like, yeah. They probably passing out Bibles to you. Probably this verse right here.
All right. Sorry,
verse 21
sorry.
now. All right, y'all, my bad. All right, so verse 21. For then, you got to love those words. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. He's talking about the things the disciples would see. Why? What's all going on during that time? Let's just listen to all the things that's happening during that time period. Nation rising against nation. Kingdom against kingdom. Famines. Pestilences. Earthquakes. Delivering up to be afflicted. Killing them. Afflicting them. Betraying one another. False prophets. The love of iniquity waxing cold. That's a lot of stuff all happening at one time. So not only do you got the army on the outside trying to get in, you got the people on the inside trying to kill you too.
Yep. You can't go nowhere. You can't win.
You can't win.
You can't win. I mean, so I'm going to come deliver you up out of that.
So forget that. Yeah, forget all that stuff they're going through. It's about Saudi Arabia, right? And R. Kelly. And Bill Cosby.
Yo, you doing
That's what we're doing here, right? This proves that we're in the last days. Right? So eventually.
You know what else is going to them? Hold up.
Go ahead.
You know how that we are giving our commentary and making it fun at the same time? We're disrespectful.
I know.
You know, we're disrespectful to the word. We don't take it serious. But I feel like it's just opposite. I feel like they don't take it serious enough for them timestamps to matter. To understand the parallelism. I don't think they're taking it serious enough, and they should have just as much fun as we're having, because we didn't have to go through it at all. But that's what I really think, though. But I just had to bring that out.
I'm gonna bring something
I
out
just
too.
had to bring that out.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring something out too. Yeah, you COVID mugs. And y'all was in the supermarket because I watched you, and y'all was afraid because there wasn't no food and this, that, and the third, right? Can you imagine being back then? Listen, I can't imagine having to make a choice on eating my child. But that's what these people went through.
Back then.
As a matter of fact, it was so. And Romans was some sadistic mugs. You understand? But when they walked in on a woman who had eaten half her child, put the other half up and offered it to them when they walked in on her. Put yourself in them shoes and tell me there's ever been something like that before. Huh?
Facts.
There you go.
Ain't nobody doing that these days.
Right.
They ain't doing that these days. Real.
You saying something, Britt?
I'm clapping at you guys.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Let's keep going.
Yeah, let's keep going.
Mike, hold on. Mike, Demetrius, y'all want to say anything?
No, I'm listening.
Demetrius?
Nah, brother, go ahead.
Okay, yes sir, yes sir. Well, we letting it flow then. All right. So then, yes sir, and we having a good time. I'm enjoying my brothers. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be short, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be short. Now, I want to hit on something quick right here. Christ said those days are going to be shortened, right?
Yep.
Notice, in Daniel, because he told them to go to Daniel. I got to show something in Daniel real fast. That's Daniel 12.
I was about to say 12 too. Let me see.
I just want to show something real fast. And a lot of people, they overlook this. And now Christ said, if I ever get to Daniel, Daniel, come to me. What are you doing? I'm so used to my Septuagint. There you go. Yeah. Right.
Too small. You know, I got my bifocals on.
I found it. All right, so Daniel 12, right? Notice right here. Daniel 12, verse number 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as not was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book. So this is talking about the same time period. But notice, I want to go to verse number 11. I'm going to read 11 and 12. And from that time, the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that made desolate set up. Right? And Christ said, when you see the abomination of desolation that the prophet Daniel speak of, right? Stand in the holy place. So this is the same time period. There shall be 1,290 days. Blessed is he that waited and come to the 1,305 and 30 days, which is 1,335. But notice, Daniel was saying that only 1,335 days after the abomination of desolation was set up was going to be the farthest that the time could go.
100%.
Christ came in and later and said, no, that time is even going to be shorter. He said right here, and except those days shall be shortened, there shall be no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. So even the time period that Daniel gave you is shorter than that.
Good one. That's one good one, bro. Good
one.
Con, brother.
We can't even get, first of all, we can't even get 2,000 years out of what Daniel said.
No doubt. No.
So we sure can't get 2,000 years out of what Christ said. Right. I bet the disciples listening to Christ and said, hold on, what? Shorter than the 1,290 days?
Like that.
Shorter than the 1,335?
These days, you be like, well, I need to get my affairs in order.
Bingo. 100%. 100%. That's it. But they overlook all of it, right? They don't care about what you timestamps, time statements. Christ said, when you know about Daniel, they say, forget Daniel. I'm not going to read Daniel. Why read Daniel? I'm going to quote from Peter.
But Christ himself said,
right.
You know what I mean? Why listen to him?
Right. Let me show you what Moses said. Right? Because I sure didn't read when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Moses.
No.
I didn't see it.
Nope.
I didn't see when you don't do the law of Moses, men flee into them. I didn't see none of that. He said Daniel. So I need to know what Daniel's talking about.
100%.
All right, but let's keep going. Let's keep going.
100%.
Then if any man say unto you, lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not, for there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. So this is like the third time Christ has brought up false prophets. The third time. The third time. So maybe it's important to understand the false prophets. Maybe. Behold, look, he said it right here. Behold, I have told you before. Right there. Right there. Just in case. So, wherefore, if they shall say unto you, behold, he is in the desert, go forth not. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. For as the lightning cometh out of the east. Can you see lightning? Can't you see lightning? Mm-hmm. Okay. And shining even into the west. Can you see shines? Mm-hmm. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. So you will see it. And he says it right here. You don't have to believe the false prophets.
You shall see it.
Yeah.
You?
Yeah. Not me.
Oh, you.
Not me.
You shall see it?
Not me.
The other people that's reading these days, those the yous?
Not them.
Oh, okay. So who's the yous?
Moses. No, can't be.
Can't be.
Gotta be the disciples.
100%.
Gotta be the disciples.
100%. That's the yous.
And he said it. That you don't have to believe the false prophets. Because it's going to be as apparent as lightning you see in the sky. See, people try to switch around verse 27 too. Mm-hmm. See, lightning coming in the east, so he's coming from the east. And shining into the west, he's going to shine in the west. No, that's not what it's saying, brother. He's talking about your eyes.
Right.
You can see lightning.
You can see
that. Right.
Just like you can see those things, you're going to see that.
Now, he's not saying, because he haven't touched his coming yet. See, that's what they're going to try to do with it. See, brother, you said it. Let me chop the video up and make it go together. He said it right here that you got to see it with your eyes. No. He said these signs you're going to see with your eyes.
Facts.
He haven't touched his coming yet.
100%.
We ain't touched the coming yet.
100%.
Right?
Let's go.
So here's the sign. Let's get to the coming now. Okay. For whatsoever the carcass is, for wheresoever the carcass is, there will be the eagles gathered together. And then they're going to say, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. You got to go through them, all of those things to happen before the Son of Man can come. For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. Immediately, I think immediately is kind of fast.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Not too down, because they would be like, they're talking about Jerusalem. But once you get right here, no, sir, it says immediately. Immediately. After the tribulation of those days. Is this the same those days that he said in 19? Woe to them that are with child, to them to give suck in those days?
Mm-hmm.
Is it the same those days?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so these ain't two those days here. Okay, those days it enough. Okay, same those days, okay.
Not these days.
Right, not those days.
Yeah, those
Right.
Okay.
Immediately after the tribulation of those days, shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give off her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heaven shall be shaken. This is my favorite right here. Can I have a little fun with this?
Go ahead.
This is a skyquake. Now I know you guys are used to earthquakes, but this is an earthquake for the sky, right? So the whole sky gonna shake like, whoa. All you know what they look like. Right? Skyquakes everywhere.
I can't even make a joke with that one. Like, it just don't. I can't rationalize it, so I can't make a joke out of it, yo.
A skyquake.
Yeah,
Sorry, y'all.
No, I can't do that one. I can't even participate in that one.
Oh Lord, skyquakes. But I got it. All right, now for real though, let's get it back now. All right, the sun shall be darkened, the moon shall not give off her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven. He's taking you back to the creation story, taking you back to Genesis. Before the sun was there, before the moon was there, before the stars was there, you had darkness and light.
Let's go.
You had Christ
Yep.
and anything not of Christ. He's taking you right back to give you a new creation start. This is destroying the old creation. Now you're getting a new creation. Now, brother, you can tell them what it means, what these symbolic words stand for. The sun being dark and the moon not giving off her light, the stars falling from heaven. You can give them what that actually means.
It's just really, I'm gonna shortcut it for him. It's an actual resurrection type feel to it, if you all really understood it. But the sun, the moons, and the stars is basically like the powers that's in control or in Jerusalem at the time and stuff like that. They're no longer give off their lights, right? So those things are going to be taken down, taken away, and who's the controlling individuals or what they use to control or dictate what goes on in Jerusalem at that time, like like the Pharisees, Sadducees, like the temple, everybody that's in control of the temple. He's going to take away all that. None of that is going to be anymore. It's not going to give off its light. It's not going to have any more authority at all. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. It's the stripping of authority of all those man-made things that was actually tearing up what the point was. And it's going to go ahead and give birth to what we know today and what is supposed to happen. I mean, that's the best way I can explain it.
No, you good. And I'm going to quote it from Genesis.
Yes, facts.
Just in case they don't believe you.
Facts.
Genesis 1, I want to start at verse 14. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, division, different power, different classes. And let them be for signs and for seasons and for years, days and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of heaven and give light upon the earth. And it was so. Who was supposed to be the light of the earth?
The word.
Well, right, in Israel, right. And then the word, yep. So now, this is what you were saying. And God made two great lights. The greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. So this is, as he said, about rulership, power, the different classes in Israel. Yep. So we got it right there. And then you got the powers of the heaven shall be shaken. Not a skyquake.
Right.
Definitely not a skyquake, guys.
So all those rulerships.
Right.
It's going to be broken down.
And if you have a skyquake, I guess you need an umbrella. But anyway, verse 30.
That ain't going to work.
I don't know. Skyquakes
They're
everywhere.
probably thinking of like meteor showers, maybe. That's probably some weird stuff.
Yeah, but it's not a skyquake, though.
Yeah, I told you I can't even feed off that joke, bro. Like I just can't fathom a skyquake, bro. I just can't. I can't even make it funny. I think I'm pretty funny sometimes. But all right, anyway, I'm sorry.
Verse 30. And then, we gotta love the word then. You gotta love the word then. When the powers are taken down. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. Why you need a sign if we can see him? I mean, if it's plain and clear, why would you need a sign?
Well,
Why?
I know why.
Go ahead.
So when it's right, so when things are like real plain and we can just see it, we don't be knowing. Like so, they have to.
I'll be right back. Go ahead.
I got you.
Go
So
ahead.
when it's real plain and simple, we don't know. So they have to say, "Yo, look in front of you." And I know somebody that actually said something like that before. I mean, because to be honest, I was talking to a guy or a group of guys. I was just be by myself. They called me up to the front to talk to me when they was doing the camp. And I was just minding my business, like really just listening to them butcher what they were saying. No, I mean, being honest, no, because I learned from them butchering it, right? I actually learned from it. I learned the things we would have to go through to help people understand. So I was there watching, but he asked me a question about being under the curses and stuff like that at Deuteronomy. And I was like, no, I'm not under a curse, bro. Like, and he, went into the persecution type stuff that none of us went through. As proof of Deuteronomy 28, 68, the things that's going on these days are the things from that. So, and I simplistically said to him, and I meant it too, and I looked him deeply in his eyes while his captain looked at me. Then I said to him, so you mean to tell me I need you, and I pointed to the guy, not you, or the person that's listening, but the guy that I was talking to out there, I said, you mean to tell me that I need you to explain to me that I am under a curse by the Most High God, the Father? Because I wouldn't know. What does that say about the Most High God? Like, why would I need you to tell me that I was under a curse, right? So, and then I explained that to somebody else as well, and then they come back, I forget the scripture where people would hide stuff from you. Like the other nations, or I think they try to say Esau, would be able to hide, whoever would be able to hide stuff from you. So, you're telling me that regular people are cunning enough to trick me into not knowing that the Most High God has me under a curse, and I don't know it. Okay. Okay. So, all right, I'll roll with that. What the? You know what I mean? What is they talking about? But I'm sorry. I just had to make that point because I know some people try to manipulate everything that's going on and use something like that as well. But come on, let's jump right back into it.
Are you good? So now, back to verse 30. Mm-hmm. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. Mm-hmm. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. And they want this to be the whole entire planet. Mm-hmm. Some people don't even know like Christ like that right now. So why are they even crying? They don't even know why they're crying. They just mourning like something's happening.
Yeah, you're in poverty. That's
right. You see that sign? Because it ain't him, right? Because then it's going to appear the sign, right? Yeah. So you see that sign in heaven? I'm sad because of the sign in heaven. Now, this is one thing we got to understand. Mm-hmm. Some places it's dark. Other places it's light. What element is he going to come back that shows himself in light and darkness everywhere at the same time? Well, that's a God right there for you. Yeah. I mean, for real. He literally got to do that, right?
Right.
So, like the people that's in comas, he got to wake them up just so they can mourn, right? The babies, any woman that's pregnant,
they got more inside.
Well, nah, they gotta have their baby.
Oh, you gonna go too fast, yo.
Yeah. Right. They
Oh,
gotta have
push
the
him
baby
out?
so they can look up, and the baby's gotta mourn. They cry anyway, so you know.
Hold on, I gotta help them now. They can see whatever their moms can see. Well, there you go.
That's not what it says. Let me read it right here. All the tribes of the earth mourn.
I'm trying to help y'all out there with y'all belief system, but I'm sorry.
And they, the tribes of the earth, this morning, shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Now this part skips over their head. Christ had already said that there's going to be a sign.
100%.
When the sign occurs, it's him coming. Let me say it again for the people that's in the back.
Look at
Okay, my bad.
You're gonna do like this.
The sign is not a vision. The sign is not a vision. The sign is not a vision. It's a sign. Right? And that sign that they see, I'm going to read it again. And then shall all, so the verse started, and then shall appear. So this is an appearing. Right? This is an appearing. The sign of the Son of Man in heaven. So the sign appeared.
You will see.
They're going to see it. They were. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. So the sign in heaven is him coming. Not him literally, but the sign. We gotta understand. I gotta say it a different way just to make it register. So let's say it here. You got a nickel, right?
That's right.
You got a nickel.
Let me see if they can follow.
Right?
I can follow.
Right there. You got a nickel.
Mm-hmm.
And then you hold the nickel up, right? Now, if I say, I'm coming to get that nickel,
Okay.
right? I hold the nickel up, you blink, the nickel is gone. You didn't have to see me to know I came and got the nickel because the nickel represents me coming and leaving.
That's a fact. That's what happened too. But I don't know if they're gonna get it though. But I know because I know what happened. Right. I mean, I know what happened.
That's how my mind works. If anybody on the chat can get a little,
100% what happened too. I like, that was a great analogy, bro. I don't think they got it though because they don't really know. But that was perfect though.
Well,
That's
appreciate
perfect.
it. Anybody, you want to add, like, say it a different way or something?
Yeah. It's simplistic, man. Look.
Yeah.
That was a really good analogy, though.
Yo, for real, right? Look, but what is the nickel? Explain to them what the nickel is. What the nickel represents.
Oh, okay. In layman terms.
Right.
Okay. The nickel would be Christ's judgment, aka his coming. Right? Then, when the nickel is gone, he then came, did his judgment, and left. So when you don't see the nickel no more, you don't see Christ anymore because he didn't did what he said he was going to do.
Right, but see, you got to do it a different way because they're going to say they didn't see the judgment yet.
Well, you go ahead and handle it then, because I can't make it any easier without drawing stick figures.
No, I feel you, but no, you gotta make a portion of.
You gotta get it.
Okay, so a portion of what the nickel is
go ahead.
is something that had to happen, right? And that goes up to verse 1, 2,
Okay.
which is the temple.
Okay.
Right? So we're going to use physical with physical for them because they need physical.
Okay.
So think of the nickel as the temple that he said that would not be there anymore. So by default, once the temple is gone, he has came and gone. So if you miss the temple going, you ain't see the temple, but is the temple there?
Right.
No, he came. That's you gotta give them that, you know what I mean? That little extra. So that's what y'all gotta understand. So let's use the representation. The nickel is the temple. You missed it when the temple was taken down. You missed it. saying that the temple is gone, you know he came. That's
Bingo.
exactly what he's saying. That's why I said that was the perfect analogy, because I looked at it from that
And
perspective.
that's why he
yo.
needed a sign.
Right.
Because if he was coming literal,
Right.
you wouldn't need a sign.
No, because you'll be like, oh, dang it, what's up? Now, hopefully, if you was
Yeah,
on that side of him, right? You'd be like, yeah, what's up?
So they're looking at the sign to determine his coming.
His coming.
Not
Okay.
him physically.
Right, because everybody ain't got to see
Right.
it.
They're looking at the sign. And when they
I
saw
hope
the
they get
sign,
it, yo. I hope they get it. I pray for
Okay.
all y'all, man. Please, Most High. Yo, I got to go into prayer right now. Yo. Most High, in the name of your Son Christ, I come to you right now. Please open the eyes of everyone that's listening to this. Please let them be able to see through the simplisticness and the funniness that we're talking about in the Word and really see the actuality and the thought process that they need to understand. Please have them follow us to learn more. And I'm not saying that just because we need followers, because you're the only one that deserve the following. But we definitely want to open up everything that we understand for you to everyone else. Amen.
Amen.
No doubt. I'm sorry, y'all. I had to do that.
No,
I
no,
just
you
felt
good.
it. I felt it right
You
there.
good?
Amen.
So now we understand though that the sign showed them Christ.
Facts.
Not Christ coming himself. That's why he had to give them a sign.
100%.
Okay, bet. So now, and nobody ever questioned the sign.
Mm-mm.
Nobody ever said, Christ, why you coming with a sign? They coming together.
No, they
What's the
didn't
sign
say
that's
that.
for? Right. So now,
And then ain't nobody, hold on, I'm sorry, before you go, none of them say, yo, I don't believe that you're going to just use a sign. I believe you really going to come back and you're going to show me your physical.
right.
Nobody said that, right? Nobody ever said that. They said they rolled with it.
Right. They were like, cool.
All right.
Because he's still answering the question.
Exactly how it's going to be seen and done.
They asked him, they said, let me say it here. And what shall be the sign of thy coming?
That nickel going away, bro.
And then they will see the sign in heaven.
And what is
That
that?
represents his coming.
What is that?
That was, we'll go through that later.
All right,
Heaven, earth, temple. But anyway, let's roll. Verse 31.
No doubt.
And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Okay. From the four winds. To me, it seems like the four winds have the elect. And he's getting his elect from the four winds.
Okay.
That's what it looks like to me. Anybody else? Anybody else? On the panel? Demetrius, Michael?
Anybody?
I agree.
Okay.
Okay, he agree.
Yes, sir.
Demetrius agree.
All right, bet then. So
All right.
it seems like he's getting.
Okay, B agree.
So he's getting the elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other, not the whole entire globe, because this is happening in Jerusalem, where the temple is, where he said you would not have gone over the cities of Israel until the Son of Man come. So all of this is happening inside of the land of Canaan. It's a land of Canaan judgment, but this is specifically talking about the temple right now. So around the temple, right? And trumpets. I always it's bringing judgment. It's announcing something is happening. So you got your trumpets coming. You got the gathering coming. You know, the people, we got to gather. We still ain't gathered in the wilderness yet. So now, let's put it together. Let's put it together. Gathering into the wilderness, right? This is after he told the disciples to flee into the mountains.
I was trying to hold it and I was like, you do it. I ain't want to cut you off.
So the gathering, and he said he will send his angels to gather the elect. The gathering has to be where his disciples are. The gathering got to be where who he's talking to. Why would he tell them to flee into the mountains and do something with different people? How would not the disciples be part of the elect? So if he's telling them to flee into the mountains, which is an Exodus motif, they're fleeing into the mountains like they fled and ended up on Mount Sinai out of Exodus. So they're fleeing, going into the mountains again for a new Exodus, a new covenant.
And who they bring with them?
The rest of the elect. Now, is he saying that they're literally going to pick up every single thousands and millions of people and bring them here and there. How?
Yes. Yes.
That's exactly what's going on. That is, and we're talking about old school, right?
Yeah.
So they had like horses and carriers and stuff. Horses, right?
Yeah.
How are you gonna get so many people during this little time period, right? Because Daniel said it was only 1,200 and what, 90 days, 60 days? And Christ said it's going to be even shorter than that.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you going to get these millions of people that fast? If they're literally gathering with a disciple. How are the people that don't even know the war is going on yet? Why are they going to even
ones that
know?
wasn't even around.
Right. How are they going to even know, like, oh, the disciples, I'm running my truck store. Disciples get to them. Oh, hey, y'all, we're fighting. Come with me. I'm like, no. You're fighting there? We're going to stay here. You know what I'm saying? So the gathering can't be with people trying to make it. First comes natural, then the spiritual. And I'm going to just give my little analogies, then I'm going to leave again. Natural exodus, spiritual exodus. Natural Babylon, spiritual Babylon. Natural Egypt, spiritual Egypt. Natural Adam, spiritual Adam. And that's
Natural
it.
Death.
Spiritual death.
Facts.
Natural covenant, spiritual covenant. Natural priesthood, spiritual priesthood. Natural temple, spiritual temple. I mean, so we just got to understand this is what they're doing in the Bible. They're using the natural to explain the spiritual. But let's keep going. Let's keep going. So we have a natural gathering. He did it with them coming out of Babylonian captivity.
Right.
Now we have a spiritual gathering. And and I'm gonna say this, then I'm gonna keep going. For a person to gather together, they have to leave somewhere. Leaving is an exodus. So for them to be gathering, they have to exit from where they was at. So everybody being gathered is going through an exodus, no matter where they are at in that area of the world. So that's the second exodus right there. The gathering is the second exodus. Leaving one spot, going to another spot together. That's the gathering. Second exodus. Spiritual. But anyway, so now, let's keep going. Verse 32. I think this should tell us right here. Now learn a parable of the fig tree. Now, if anybody don't know what a parable is something that teaches a lesson. It's based off of literal stuff to teach spiritual stuff. Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender, and putteth forth leaves, ye know that summer is near, or not. So you look at the fig tree, right? The branches are tender, and then eventually leaves start forming on the fig tree. This doesn't take thousands of years. This is a cycle, right? It's a cycle, aka ages, a timeline. It's a timeline. Once you see the sign forming up, you know the conclusion is going to happen. So now, when his branch, that's the sign, is yet tender and putting forth leaves, that's the sign, you know that summer is near by the signs. So likewise, ye, disciples, when ye see all these things, know that it is near, even at your doors. So now, how can he tell them, when you physically see me coming, then know I am near?
Yo, you just gave me a headache, yo. It's not, yo.
Even at your door. When you see me, and I have gathered all your brothers together, and we all chilling together, then you know I am near. I am even at your door. When you see me eating supper, I got it. When you see me eating supper in your house, then know it's almost time for you to cook food.
So,
Right?
stop, man. I mean, this
Right?
is how they have to think.
Right?
Though. I mean, this is how they have to think, though.
Ain't
Oh
that
my
it?
goodness.
Right?
I could just hear somebody right now mumbling, "He's so sassy," right now. I could just hear that, yo. Clapping, right? They're gonna clap word, yo.
All right, so now it says, verily this is the killer.
Mm-hmm.
Verily I say unto you, disciples, this generation shall not pass. The generation they was in.
100%.
Till all, now when we say all, he said all, right?
Mm-hmm.
These things be fulfilled.
100%.
So now, to all these things be fulfilled. So,
There we go. We got it.
So y'all, we having technical difficulties. Oh, you want me to keep charge? Okay. So now, there was 1 second. So now, it says, verily I say unto you, disciples, this generation shall not pass away till all these things be fulfilled. So, by default, we only have to find one thing, and the rest of it has to happen that same generation.
100%.
Right?
100%.
So, we either got to find the false prophets,
Mm-hmm.
everything else got to happen in that generation.
Mm-hmm.
Nation rise against nation,
Mm-hmm.
all that got to happen in that generation.
Mm-hmm.
The gathering, all that had to happen in that generation.
Yep.
The sign,
Mm-hmm.
all that had to happen in the generation. Or, y'all give us 1 sec. Or, y'all give us 1 second. Or, the destruction of the temple. Because that's where it started off.
It started off there.
So everything had to happen that generation. Now here we go right here, people. This is what they love. Verse 35. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass away. Here where they go right here. Brother, you still see heaven? Even though it's invisible. But, brother, you still see heaven? You still see earth? So it ain't passed away. So it ain't been fulfilled yet. And then what do? No, man, heaven and earth to Israel isn't heaven and earth to Americans.
No doubt.
And they'll be like, oh, what? Google King. Show me what you mean, Google King. Then I'll say, all right, bet. Well, let me show you one. Let me show you one instance. We go to Deuteronomy.
What's chapter 30?
It's 30. It's either 30 or 29. Let's see here. It's 29. It's got to be 29. Is it? Nope, it ain't 29. 30 or 31. Hold on. Give us 1 second, guys.
No.
Might be 31.
Might be 28.
It's 32.
32. Here you go right there. Appreciate it, brother.
Good looking. 32.
32.
No, we go back to chapter 31. I think it's verse.
Start at the end of 31. Yeah, I got you right here. Yes, sir. Deuteronomy 31, starting at verse 29, and I'm going to read to 32. Verse 29. For I know that after my death, ye, now that ye right there is the ones he's talking to.
Facts.
I don't know how the ye, when Christ said it's not the ones he's talking to. But anyway,
Right.
ye will utterly corrupt yourselves
Mm-hmm.
and turn aside from the way which I, the I has to be Moses,
Mm-hmm.
but somehow the I is not Christ. I don't understand it. I have commanded you, and evil will befall you in the latter days. That will be the days of the last generation.
That's a fact.
Because ye will do evil in the sight of the Lord to provoke him to anger through the works of your hands. And Moses spake in the ears, right, ears of all the congregation of Israel. So he's talking to Israel, right? The words, huh?
I said, what did he speak into their ears?
Right, the words of this song until they were ended.
Oh.
32, verse 1. Give ear. He just said he was talking to all the ears of the congregations.
Right.
Give ear, O ye heavens, and I will speak. And hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. So why is Moses out there looking at the sky and the ground, talking to it? All the people over there, he's talking to the sky and ground. Listen, heavens and earth. And the people's like, what is he doing?
Exactly. I mean, that he didn't do that. Anyway, that's what they would have done.
Right.
That's what they would have thought.
He literally called the congregation the heavens and the earth. He told them to give ear.
No doubt.
See, people don't,
To
you
the
got to
song.
understand.
You understand the song that he was about to sing to him, and he addressed them in the song as heavens and earth.
100%. So I had people drop off then. They're like, hold on now. Doof, doof, doof. Now you're making it.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So now, also.
I was just
Right.
Yeah. We made it up.
Right.
You can read it right here.
Hey, they like, brother had me all the way up until then.
they don't want to read the scripture and listen to what it says, or even read it for himself.
That's what I want you to do. Read it for yourself.
And then I'm going to hit you with some Hebrew parallelism to show it again.
Let's do it.
You go to verse 35 in Matthew 24. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass away. You go to Matthew 24 and 2. And Jesus said, see ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. That's being passed away.
Yeah. I mean,
So the original, this is Hebrew parallelism. This is how they wrote. And up here, Christ called it. He been doing it throughout the whole thing. I just explained it. Yeah,
like
he
mad
been doing
times.
it. He
A lot of
said
jokes
one
in
way,
between, but it was there though, for real.
He said one way, then he'll come back and say it another way.
Yep.
Up here, he called it the temple.
Yep.
Down there,
be thrown down. No stone's gonna be thrown
Right.
away. Thrown down. Right.
And down there, he called it heaven and earth.
Yeah.
Up there, he was talking about the temple being destroyed. Here, he's talking about the sun not giving off its light, the moon not shining, the stars falling from heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Down here, he said, heaven and earth gonna pass away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's parallelism. It's all the same thing. So when they say, "Have you seen heaven and earth?" Have you seen heaven and earth?
Actually, they haven't.
They haven't.
That's another story.
Right, but they still waiting on skyquakes.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get it. The
I can't
skyquakes.
do
They're
that.
still waiting on skyquakes. So now, but this is it right here, verse 30. And I like he said, "My words will not pass away." So that means even when he done doing everything he said he was going to do, his words still endure forever. That's it. Verse 36. But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. Say it again. But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But Christ knew enough to say that the days that Daniel gave was too long.
True.
So Christ might have not said he knew the day and the hour, but he had insight to know enough that Daniel's timeline is too long, guys.
That's a little too long.
Yeah.
A little bit before that.
Right.
A little bit before that. I agree here.
So now, and we know that that's an idiom for the feast day. I think that's the Feast of Trumpets, I believe.
Feast of Trumpets.
Yeah. What is it? Because it came during the new moon, and they didn't know when the new moon was going to come. But anyway, so now, but they knew around the time. But as the day, this is my thing right here. But as the days of Noah, as it says Noe, but Noah, were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. So now, first thing first, you got to think about the days of Noah. The angels were tripping. Let me rephrase it. The sons of God, angels, was tripping, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who became the new sons of God? Israel. So the sons of God was tripping. They was marrying, intermarrying, and all that stuff. So now it says right here, for as in the days they were before the flood came, they were eating and drinking, marrying, which is a covenant, and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark. So when Noah walked into the ark, right, a lot of stuff was happening still, business as usual, until Noah entered the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. So they're going to know. I mean, they're not going to know. They're going to be doing all of this other stuff. Business as usual. The angels, a.k.a. the children of Israel, are going to be doing their things. Drinking, partying. In other words, business as usual. And then Noah went in the ark. Then the gospel of the kingdom was preached. Because he said, when the gospel of the kingdom preached, then the end will come.
Yep.
So the gospel of the kingdom preached, that's Noah entering into their ark. So now they're waiting on the Messiah now to do his part. Because the gospel already was spread. So then, so that's Noah entering the ark. The gospel being spread. And then what? And took them all away. Came like a thief in the night.
Nowhere just started pouring down.
That's it. Out of nowhere, they see one Roman soldier. They see two Roman soldiers. They see three Roman soldiers. And then on the inside, they're not even looking at the Roman soldiers no more, because now the people on the inside is tripping, inside of Jerusalem. They start killing each other. And while they're killing and wilding out on the inside, Rome is still calculating and getting their soldiers on the outside surrounded.
Yep.
That's it. That's it. So then, by the time they notice, hey, so what's going on out there? It's too late.
Yep.
So now you just got to deal with it.
Those that were paying attention, they got out of there.
They got up out of
Yeah, that's it. Because they knew what it was. They was like, this is what Christ was talking about.
Yeah, this is what Christ was talking about. I'm out of here, bro.
That's it. And we're going to get ready to about end it now. It says, then shall two be in the field, one shall be taken, and the other left. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, one shall be taken, and the other left. That's what we call a separation, a division. That's what those lights do in the sky. They divide. So now we have a division. One people taken, and the other is left. Now, the people in the ark, right? Because it says right here, and knew not until the flood came and took them away. So the people being taken is the people that's being killed. The people that's being left is the ones written in the book of life. So that goes against that rapture stuff. Because they want to be taken. And they use this verse to say they want to be taken. But the people who was taken here was the one that was killed by the flood. Yeah. So taken is not a good thing. Yeah, it's definitely not a good thing. So now, the people left over, now, verse 42. Watch, therefore, for you know not what hour your Lord doth come. So now he's telling them to watch again. Because they don't know the time, the day, or the hour. But know this. So he's going to give them some information. Yeah. That if the good man of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, who would be the Roman army, he would have watched and would have not suffered his house to be broken up. That would be the temple. Therefore, be ye also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not, the Son of Man cometh. Who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom his Lord had made ruler over his household, to give them meat in due season? Question mark. Blessed is that servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Verily I say unto you, that he shall make him ruler over all his goods. But if that evil servant shall say in his heart, my Lord delayeth his coming. Ain't that what they've been doing for 2,000 years, ain't it? He coming. Oh, what I call that doctor? That's the any day doctor. Yeah, any day now doctor. Right there. That's the any day now. Any day now. World War I? Any day now. World War II? Any day now. The slave trade, slave trade. Any day now. You can give me some more wars. You know some more war names? The Cold War. Any day now. Korean War. Any day now. Who? Grenada War. There's a storm.
Afghanistan. Operation Southern Watch.
Any day now. Any day now. So now we got COVID. Any day now.
That's a different.
Yeah.
Or a war still.
Yeah, but more chips. More chips given out. Now, credit cards and more the chip war.
Oh yeah.
Any day now. Like I said, Y2K. Any day now. July, whatever day. What's today's date? I don't even know.
23rd.
Any day now. Any day now. So that's it right there. But if the evil servant, and he called it evil, the evil servant shall say in his heart, in his mind, my Lord delayed his coming. Ain't that what Peter got on the scoffers for saying?
Mm-hmm.
Peter's got on the scoffers for saying that he was delaying.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing. He got that from Christ. And shall begin to smite his fellow servants. That's the love of many waxing cold. Once again, that's the persecution. Right there. And to eat and drink, that's what he's talking about the days of Noah. With the drunken. That's what's going on in Noah's time. All that stuff and start killing each other. The Lord of that servant shall come in the day when he looketh not for him, and in an hour that he is not aware of, and shall cut him asunder. That sounds like some rewards right there. So that will be the coming of Christ right there. And appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. That's Matthew 25 when he divided them. There shall be the weeping and gnashing of teeth. That's it right there, guys. We went through the whole Matthew 24. That's it. So if we drag it
I was
upon,
about to say something too about that.
go ahead.
I want to just apologize for those and thank everyone that endured, right? Endured to the end, right? But I know some of the stuff was really silliness and stuff like that, but those are real thought processes. You have to really think like that. Like, let's be logical, right? Like some of the things that individuals create and we have created ourselves right before really don't stand up to what the Bible is saying. Time sacrifice, none of the audience relevance, none of that stuff is standing up. It don't hold water.
Even logic now.
Yeah, even logically, right? When we think about commas, ands, the, ye, you, me, then, there, like, come on, man. Let's stop personalizing everything. We can't personalize everything. We really can't, because just because something is being said doesn't mean it's being said to you. It doesn't mean it's empowering or diminishing you. It was about them and their time and what they expected and what was given to the known world that we benefit from. So their known world that we do benefit from today. That's all. I'm good. Anything, Brother Tony?
Get off your daggone duffs and do your research. Due diligence, self-autonomy. That's all I got.
All right. How about anybody on the panel?
Any other panel? Demetrius, Mike, Britt.
All I'm saying, man, is you got is 100% back. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, like Marshall said, don't just, you know, the things that we say is comical, but it's those are facts. Those are 100%. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I just want to say I appreciate you brothers for the lesson, and
Mike, check this image.
just to build on what Demetrius said, you know, do your own research. Just do your research. Don't take our word from it. Peace and blessings.
No doubt. I think that's it.
Britt, you got anything to say?
She good.
All right.
That's what
All
it
right.
is.
All right, we're finna get ready to shut off then.
No doubt, man. I'll make another room up later for us.
Yeah.
Just I don't know if Mike got that debate set up yet, but we'll get to that.
The brother hasn't hit me back yet. I
Yeah.
did see. on that side of the board with them too. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he'll be joining us later. If he'll try to come back in later.
Yeah, let Oliver come see me. Yeah, word. But no, and no disrespect to anybody listening. If we can do a friendly debate with anybody, we welcome it. We want a neutral moderator.
Just have a neutral moderator.
That's it. We can get a neutral moderator, and any subject matter. Any subject matter, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You know, I want to say peace and blessings to everybody. I want to tell everybody that I love them. I love you. You're my brother, fringed or not. You heard? And facts, because some of them you can't be their brother if you ain't one way or the other. So I want to say we love you all regardless. We pray for you all. We want to pull all of you out of that covenant, and so you can enter the kingdom and build your own kingdom and live joyfully as the rest of us do, man. And I want to say shalom.
Shalom.
You got something to say, Mike?
No, he's just chewing.
All right, yeah.
Oh, my bad.
That's the everlasting God stopper. Oliver? You see him? There go Oliver.
There you go.
I don't even.
How's it going, brother Albert? Hey, good.
Oliver finna get this work right now. He playing.
Hey, Elvin, I just got through watching, or I'm actually in the process of watching, you and Wade Bell's debate with Sicarii.
Yes, sir.
Is that the video that you're referencing?
No, I'm referencing the one they just recently done.
Oh, I didn't see that. What is it called?
He said, I see that. What was that one called? Hold on.
I don't know, man.
Bro, I swear I don't know. It was sent to me. Hold on.
They wouldn't allow you guys to say anything, brother.
Oh yeah, they never do shalom, y'all. They never do.